When you think about a good leader or a good influencer, these are people that can step outside themselves, right? And actually take a moment to think about, rather than promoting myself or my own agenda, what does the world need from me? And that's when you get the best leadership, because that's when you actually are attuned to what's going on around you, whether it's the people that you interact with or the actual issues, so that one can be better positioned to actually address them.
That sounds like what a sustainability hero is, really. Somebody who says, what does the world need from me?
Absolutely. I mean, sustainability is such a personal topic for people as it is a broader topic, but it is very personal in many ways. And I think when we talk about heroes and people who can make an impact, these are people that sit back and think, let's think about our world. Where is it headed? What are the dynamics in play now? And what is it going to look like years from now? And how can I play a role in addressing that? But it can also be a generation. In the sense, if we think about the millennials, for example, I mean, they're very much focused on this topic of sustainability. So I think that whole generation is going to play an active role in this space moving forward. And if you think about the younger generations coming up through the ranks, our children, for example, they have a very different view on how they engage with the environment and how they protect it. So I see all of those generations coming up through the ranks to play a role. And I think it's really important as well to point out that corporations, companies can also play a very active role as a hero, right? Both internally in terms of engaging their employees, but externally in terms of setting standards and getting people to focus on this work.
How about investors or regulators, like big classes of folks like that?
Oh, for sure. I think absolutely them as well. I mean, investors, for example, as we both know, are starting to make more decisions around whom they invest in based on that company's focus on sustainability or corporate social responsibility, diversity and inclusion, all of those topics that are very much intertwined. So I think you'll see that in the investment community continuing to grow rapidly. From a regulator perspective, I think we're going to see a lot more in the coming years, and we're seeing it already in terms of setting standards, as I mentioned a moment ago, but also putting in place regulations around what does it mean to be effective in terms of interacting with your environment, interacting with your community, interacting with your people, things of that nature.
Sustainability problems are huge matrix issues. Do we need more diversity and inclusion to help solve them?
For sure. And the reason is the following. Diversity really drives the best minds, right? So again, it gets back to casting the widest net to find the best talent. And so what we need is the best minds to really focus their energy on these topics and to do it as individuals and as groups, to think about what's the impact, how do we actually take action in order to address these opportunities and challenges that we're facing.
Patsy, how does your role here at Thomson Reuters impact your worldview on how to solve sustainability problems?
Okay, that's a great question. So as you know, I look after corporate social responsibility, sustainability, and diversity and inclusion for Thomson Reuters, which is a 50,000 plus organization spanning 100 different countries, right? So what I believe is the model that we've created here, which combines those three functions and allows us to focus on our employees, our clients, our environment, and our community, is a model that can be applied elsewhere. Other organizations can take this on. Regulators, investors, and other members of the community who care about this work can actually look at this model and think, how do we actually address sustainability by engaging different talents on this topic, by getting the best minds in the room to discuss it, by actually creating communities of thought that actually gather to address these issues together. And I think that's really where this can be applied more broadly. I also think secondarily, by having a model like this within an organization like ours, we can actually gather other companies and other members of the broader community to collectively work to set standards, have discussions, and to change the environment overall.
What gives you hope?
Well, Tim, a lot of things give me hope. I'm a very hopeful, optimistic person, but I think as we think about these topics around sustainability and diversity, I'm hopeful because of the next generation. I am hopeful when I talk to my children who are 10 and 12, where they see no differences in people based on race, gender, ethnicity, or otherwise, and they just think about people as individuals. And I think that is so refreshing, and I'm starting to see that play out in the younger generations, but also in organizations. And as we go out and talk about these topics, the discussion is changing, right? The discussion is becoming more about what do you stand for as an individual? And therefore, what do you bring to the table which will help us achieve our goals? And so that makes me very hopeful. I'm also very hopeful because I'm starting to see corporations, I'm starting to see governments, regulators, and investors focus on these topics around sustainability, diversity, and engaging with our community. And the more that we see that pressure, if you will, build, internal pressure, external pressure build, the more we're going to see changes in our community and our environment.